We're back casting spells that shouldn't be castable in a mono black deck. Using Chromatic Lantern, Cabal Stronghold, and the World Tree, we're looking to make loads of mana and take nutty turns. So, let's begin. Game 1 we keep a hand with Interaction and Chromatic Lantern, starting off with a land and keeping up push. Our opponent plays a Blood Crypt tapped and ships it back. We play out our second land and a Bankbuster. Our opponent shocks and plays a Blood Tithe Harvester. We draw a Go for the Throat and decide to play out our Lantern and hold up push. After our opponent goes to combat and attacks with the Harvester, we decide to push. Our opponent follows up with a Bone Crusher and passes. We draw a Mastermind's Acquisition for turn and use our Bankbuster looking for lands. After we miss, we decide to go for the Throat the Giant. Our opponent plays another Harvester and Bankbuster. We untap and find the land. We decide to keep our opponent's pressure off us by pushing the Harvester, draw a card, and play out our second Bankbuster. Our opponent draws and plays a land. We untap and slam an Invoke Despair, drawing 3 and dealing 6 to our opponent. Our opponent cracks a blood token and receives the turn. They play out their third Harvester, crew their Bankbuster, and get in for 4. We untap and draw a Swamp. Play out a Swamp, make 5 with Cabal Stronghold, and play out our Golos, fetching up another Stronghold. This is enough for the opponent, who scoops it up. Game 2, after siding in some Duresses and Go Blank, we keep a hand with lots of mana and some good payoffs. Our opponent leads on a tapped Blood Crypt and we follow up with a Thoughtseize, taking their wedding announcement. Our opponent follows up with a Harvester and we continue to play lands. They have a Damping Sphere to make our life a little harder and continue to attack us. On our turn, I decide to tutor up an Extinction Event and ship the turn. Our opponent plays around the board wipe and keeps their creature in hand. We untap and hit them with an Invoke Despair to deal with this Harvester and draw 2 cards. Our opponent plays out their Blood Baron and we play a second Invoke Despair. Our opponent then follows up with a Sheoldred, which isn't great. After realizing the second line of Damping Sphere, we decide to Extinction Event away this Sheoldred and ship it back to the opponent, who follows up with a second Sheoldred. With our life total precariously low, we tutor a Go for the Throat to deal with the Sheoldred and have a lot of gas to follow up with. Our opponent plays a Misery Shadow, which we have the push for. We draw a Mastermind's Acquisition and play out our Golos, tutoring up a World Tree. We crew our Bankbuster and get in for 4. Our opponent takes a draw step and concedes. This next match really highlights how fun this deck is to play. With so much utility and card advantage, it's really easy to bury our opponent the second they stumble, which is exactly what happens here. I'm having so much fun with this deck. The nostalgia it gives of Ixalan Standard is great, and the play pattern is so unique. I love this deck, but what do you guys think? And how will you change the deck? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one. Catch ya.